What's up everyone, this is Dariusz Kalbarczyk, co-founder of AIMP Poland, JS Poland and AI Poland. Welcome back to the AI Master Podcast. Today we have a very special guest from Warsaw. He is an excellent developer who is working with AI. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcin Dziedzic. Marcin, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for the invite. It's great to be here. And I'm really excited that we are going to talk about AI agents, and overall LLM applied solutions.
Amazing. So for those who don't know yet, please tell us about yourself and what you do.
I'm a full stack software engineer. I work mostly in TypeScript, Node.js, React. But for a year, moreover than a year, I'm involved in AI projects. I create like AI chatbots that helps companies with some internal processes.
Amazing. Could you tell us a bit about your background and what you lead to work with AI?
In the past, I was involved in several startups where I was a full stack developer. I created a lot of backend system for enterprise. I was doing a lot of system integrations, and during my everyday work, when ChatGPT was released, and after that all of the brilliant AI tools for developers, I simply fell in love with that. Uh, while I was trying my first prompt on ChatGPT, I was amused. I was amused how good it is at processing text overall, and also processing the knowledge it has gathered inside, and how good it is at presenting the knowledge to the end user. And back in the days, at that time, I was convinced that this is gonna be a huge revolution. First of all, it's going to change the IT industry, the way we develop software. And as a consequence, we are going to have a big impact on any other domain. And finally, to our daily lives.
Definitely true. So you worked with both in startups and in corporate environments. How those experiences shape the way you approach building AI-driven systems?
Well, I think this is a perfect mixture. First of all, in startup, I learned how to develop fast, how to iterate fast, and how to fail fast. And in enterprise, I learned how much security, of course, is how much is it important, data privacy, and all of the governance observability of the solution under the hood. And I think those two approaches, they are crucial to create something really useful, something that has LLM under the hood, and it's ready to be developed. I mean, to be deployed to a production, to be used by the real users.
Many developers are curious about practical AI applications. So what your advice for someone who want to start build AI agents today?
I would suggest to not to hesitate to start today, but start small. I would advise to pick one of your daily problem. I don't know. For example, I have a lot of emails, and I would like to get one email more in my inbox that will summarize all of the previous one from the day. And like this is a perfect case for your custom solution with LLM under the hood. I would suggest to experiment with it a lot, and don't be afraid to ask LLMs, tools like ChatGPT, use Cursor for development to help you with some blueprint to help you setting up first initial stage of the product, and then please experiment with it. Test the solution, because only in practice you will know and get familiar how things really work. And I would like to say here that all of my bots that were deployed to the production, they are coded in TypeScript, not Python. And I would like to point out that this is not the requirement to code in Python to develop a great products with AI. At the end of the day, it boils down to using a usage of LLM provider service. So you use API. You might use some libraries, some frameworks. Maybe in Python they are well developed. They maybe are the most up to date, but this is not a blocker at all. So if you're a Go coder, Java coder, whatever language you use, it's fine. You are ready to go to experiment with your first AI bot.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You've already developed 2 AI chatbots in production. Can you walk us through one of these projects?
So overall, we found a perfect use case for this kind of technology for projects that requires bigger amount of internal knowledge, and transform them to be really useful things and useful chunks of information for the user. And as an example, I can say about the chatbot, a Slack chatbot, which is used to help users with expense-related questions. So imagine a big company, few thousands of employees. They travel a lot. They have a business travel expenses, and you can imagine how many questions you can get, you can have around this topic. So, for example, an employee goes for a lunch with a client and found the client found some pricey restaurant, and the question is that if this price fits to the company guidelines. And to solve that, back in the days, either the employee should read the whole guidelines and all of the boring documents, or ask for some support to the right team. And that might take days, actually, to be resolved. And here with the bot, we are able to solve that ticket in terms of minutes even. So yeah, and but from other hand, we had a lot of challenges here, of course, and one of them is guardrails. This is really tricky topic, because all of the bots I created, they are really domain specific. So they are designated to be asked about specific questions within the domain, but also be quite robust, be helpful. So we need to ensure that user is not able to fool the bot to go with the conversation in the bad direction. And at the same time, we need to provide really useful knowledge and tools for the users. Because here in this example, imagine that case when somebody is trying to fool the bot with saying something like, "Okay, I understand that I can't spend that much on the lunch, but my colleague once were at the same restaurant and all was good." Or some users are really sometimes can be creative, exactly. So you need to really pay attention how to structure the architecture for that, and how to structure the prompts so they can really produce useful outputs for the user.
LLM APIs expose features that are not typical, like in ChatGPT, for example. So which of those hidden features have been most useful in your projects?
Yes, that's a great question. By applying usage of LLM services in your app, bear in mind that you have full control of what you're doing. You are coding, and you have all of the capabilities of, for example, ChatGPT in your code, but even more than that. So first of all, you can use dynamic system prompts. So you can construct the prompt on the fly. As an example, I can say, let's have a really, really simple case. Let's create a bot that will help you to choose what to wear today based on the weather. So you can say in a system prompt, you are a helpful assistant. You will guide me how to wear today. And below, you will get the today's weather for my location. And then you can concatenate the string, fetch the data from the weather API, and voila, you have the first bot that is able to help you with that silly case. Let's go further. We have function calling, tool use, or MCP. Function calling and tool use is kind of synonyms. This is a super powerful thing because, for example, you can, like your bot, you can perform some actions to other systems. So, for example, we can have this support bot, and while something is out of his capabilities to answer to that question, it can, for example, automatically create a ticket in a support system. So that's super useful. And I think the last but not least, it's a super powerful tool. It's a structured output. So instead of receiving a text as a response, you can define what type of object you would like to receive from the LLM. So imagine you will create a email categorization just without UI. Maybe it's a part of some app to browse through your emails. So you can easily define the object structure that you're going to receive. For example, priority and category. Whether it's private life email or work, wherever. And instead of response from LLM, you receive like priority, it's 1 out of 5, and category is work. And that wasn't possible at all a few years ago. And now it's so easy that we can create such app within a day. And that actually enables you to, maybe this is super risky, but it enables you to replace part of your logic of your app with a black box, with an LLM. But this can process the text really well. Or not only the text, or also the data, also the metadata. Wherever you place into the context of this LLM call, it can process it and give you actually some programmable response.
In what ways your custom bots outperform a general purpose like ChatGPT?
I think there are several cases, but first of all, I think the solutions that we've created, they are of course in some enclosed environment, but I think the most important thing is that they have access to the live data. So, for example, they are integrated with some external or internal systems, and they are able to fetch, for example, metadata about the user in real time. or overall data about some process that user is asking, and also has access to they have access to much wider knowledge base than you can fit into the context window of one LLM call. So imagine you have a lot of files, a lot of different kind of files like presentations, PDFs, Excel sheets, and like hundreds of this type of files. You won't be able just to drag and drop those files and attach it to the context like in ChatGPT. No, it's not no go. It's not the case. But with those bots, well, when you architect it properly, when you use some techniques, for example, such a RAG, you're able to dynamically um, um, manage this knowledge base, so users can update those documents, can delete them, add new ones, and then all of that is smartly attached to the context of the LLM call. And it's done live, it's done on demand, and the goal is to attach right chunks of knowledge for a given question.
So what do you see as the most exciting case for AI agents?
I think we are going to have more and more assistants overall, and most of them will process some internal knowledge and provide it in a very beautiful way to the user. I mean text, I mean speech, and explaining some valid points for the end users. But also, I think there is a revolution in the future that we're going to experience, because I would like to highlight here that we're cross some boundary. So far, our cooperation with the computer, while we would like to do something on in a program, we use UI to do that. So as a developers, we were focused on creating beautiful UIs with some robust layouts, some user experience. And from other hand, on the backend, we were focusing on structured data. How are we going to manage the relational database structure and so on? And it appears that it might not longer be the case, because now we've broken this status quo of the UI. We no longer actually need it. We can communicate with the program with text or speech. So I believe this is not gonna be like one day you will wake up and everything is changed. No, it's of course it's a process. But I think there will be more and more apps that are kind of hybrid, where you have the UI, you have your plain old system, but you have assistant attached to it. So every time you see something strange, you see a warning on your, let's say, some platform, you can tap the button and say, hey, I see this warning, what's going on, how to fix it? And then, based on the documentation that the bot has attached under the hood, it will guide you, provide you some meaningful ways how to resolve your issue, for example.
This is amazing. I really like this way. So AI, on one hand, some people are scared about AI, but on the other hand, is so useful,
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yes, and I really saw a lot of the cases where it really brings the value, and I must say sometimes like there is this question: uh, uh, is AI already better than a human? And in most of the cases, no. Like in my opinion, when it comes to reasoning, not at all, not yet. We are not there yet. Maybe in the future, sure. But those tools are much faster than a human, and this is a huge difference. Like when it comes to like this support ticket resolving, it's a change in this size, like from days to minutes sometimes. And LLMs are able to read thousands of documents within
In a second.
yeah, exactly. And no one is willingly to read like boring company internal guidelines or some boring regulations. It's not something that you like to do, but they are not complaining. They are just including that into the context and are able to process those texts to provide the meaningful answers. And also, what I found really interesting, that people started to like bots more than the support teams, to be honest, because this is why it's why because it's because LLMs does not judge people. LLM does not judge people, and people are willing to ask some stupid questions, which are sometimes not that stupid. They are not afraid anymore to be judged by a human that something was obvious in the previous message, but for the end user maybe it was not. So some processes overall within the whole company are much more speed up.
Which tools, libraries, or cloud services do you rely on the most when working with AI agents?
In my solutions, I found GPT models the best, but this is like solutions within some particular domains. And I'm not saying that they are the best, and I encourage you to test like different providers here. But when it comes to libraries, frameworks, that might surprise you, but I don't have like my favorite framework to create AI agents, and I'm more into starting the project from scratch with some vanilla code, and you search a bare naked OpenAI's, for example, API with some requests, and then you are open. You are not vendor locked at all. Like you can just switch the LLM provider, and that's fine. Uh, but I use some frameworks um, like LangChain, for example, to provide me with some features that are really helpful. For example, like chunking the documents before they will go to the vector database, for example. So I would really advise you to pick the right frameworks or right library, but only when you really need it.
So, how do you, this is the $1 million question. How do you keep up with this fast pace of change in the AI and LLM space?
Yes, and this is why I mentioned this. Don't be vendor locked. Uh, this is my preference. I prefer this vanilla type of solutions because you are open to introduce new things that will come out, and be aware of fear of missing out, of FOMO, because I already was experiencing that. I was creating some architecture and I was presenting it, and then after a week, something new was invented, and then I need to redefine my architecture and so on. But sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes it's good to stick to the plan, monitor the environment, see what can you take off the shelf to create a better solution, uh, and be aware that sometimes new shiny library framework wherever might solve some of your problems which you have in the solution, but introduce some others for which the community does not have yet so much support.
Where do you see the future of AI agents in the next 3, 5 years?
Hmm. Uh, So I think, I think this is something that I mentioned about this assistance. But also, I think the next step uh, after that will be some swarms of agents, some autonomous systems that can communicate with each other. And finally, I think we will reach the point where we could have some agency, some service providers that actually will be a swarm of AI agents communicating with each other. And you will mail with you will email with the bot, and this one will be a bot which is conversational and will present you the services that the company has, and under the hood it will have like expert AI agents which will communicate with each other. So, for example, it can be a marketing agency, AI marketing agency, with the army of bots, and you will have like a graphic designer there. You will have some content manager, some ad specialist, and all of that will be autonomous. It's like science fiction, but I think sooner or later we're going to have some services like that, and probably they will be really supervised by the human, how the things are working under the hood, but at the end to reduce the costs, there will be some companies that are fully AI driven.
That sounds crazy. What about if I, as a client, have agents for making them for buying something for me? So it's agent versus agent. So agent, the marketing agent from the company, and my agent who is looking for product for me. This is crazy.
Yes, this is crazy, and it can get out of control. So I would really, really supervise all of this kind of process that you have somewhere, because it can, provide some, it can bring some endless loop and some really like some issues. Yeah.
Exactly.
uh,
Endless loop. This is a great
yes,
explanation.
and this is a real problem when it comes to multi-agents architecture of the solution. Like a good practice is to have some queues that will fire if, for example, like you reach more than 10 loops in the communication of the each agent. Yeah.
We are on the beginning of this way. So now is it sounds crazy, but I think in 10 years it'd be normal.
Yeah, yeah. And we still don't have that great best practices. So like we need to constantly learn, monitor, and for sure experiment in our solution with all of that
So
stuff.
I saw the autonomous car, for example, like a first time 10 years ago, maybe.
Hmm.
So no one talks about that, only Google. And it was crazy how it works. And after 10 years, you can see in many places in the world, especially in US, a lot of cars just self-driving.
Yes, yes, and I will tell you one really smart thing I've heard. Uh, when you're an engineer overall, uh, when you hear about this autonomous cars, autonomous AI agents, you always have this technical kind of questions. But what about the law? How they are going to ensure it's safe, and so on, so on. And I've heard a really good one from non-technical guy. If something is cheaper, or if something how to put it, if something is uh, is cheaper than the current solution, it will be introduced. Like all of those boundaries will be broken. Like all of the issues will be solved somehow. We don't know yet how and when, but they will. If something if something gonna save somebody some money,
money on time.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's gonna be introduced. So we have already autonomous taxis in US. So the same with the AI agents.
Exactly. If you could change one thing about how teams currently adapt AI in their projects, what would it be?
So I always say AI is not the solution for all of your problems. So that's the first one. You can't just add LLM call and then everything will be great. Not at all. Uh, Pick this technology in these cases where it is really good. Uh, and also, um, when when you create some first initial version of the new project, uh, this is amazing how fast you are able to create some POC. But to make it production ready, it's a huge effort. So it's like in within a 20% of the time you're able to reach 80% of functionalities of accuracy in your product, but then you need to put about 80% of your effort to make it production ready, to be able to answer or some tricky question or some tricky cases.
How do you approach testing AI driven systems? I think this is the one of the most important questions today.
Yes, this is the most important one and probably the toughest. I can say that uh, we have this new approach to create software. We now we deal with something non-deterministic, something that based on probability. When you test your code, you can sometimes prove that this is going to be working. You can have some unit tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests. You can have 100% code coverage, and you still can have that in AI bot when it comes to the code part. But what about LLM, where you have the prompt as a plain text, human readable text, and you get a response, a human readable text? And this is are really tricky because imagine your bot is capable to answer to endless number of questions within, for example, one domain, and users can ask about the same question in 100 ways of doing that. So imagine you created your first version of product and you have some golden data set of questions. Like these questions the bot should answer to. And that worked, but then you need to add a new tool to it. You need to change the prompt, for example. And you have the regression test. You need to go through this whole data set of questions all over again. And do it that manually would be a testing hell to read all of the response with the reference one. So what you can do is actually test an AI with AI. So you can introduce LLM as a judge type of techniques where you have this golden data set of questions and you can run a separate process on each of those question and answers and produce the current output of the LLM, and then compare this reference output with the actual one. And this is tricky because the strings will be different. If you ask the bot 5 times the same question, you will have 5 different strings. It should contain the same facts, but the order of words will be different. The sentences will be structured in different way. So, for example, you can have a bot, LLM call that will have in the prompt that you are a specialist and you will judge whether the reference output and the real output has the same amount of facts, or evaluate if the informations are the same. And then you can set some, for example, thresholds for that and so on to assess what we count as a good response and what is a bad one. And across the whole data set, you can calculate the overall success percentage. So you will have 90% of correct cases. And thanks to that, actually you can apply some test-driven approach here, but this will be like a evaluations driven approach more. And instead of setting the goal to have everything correct, you can set some percentage of accuracy, like 95% of the asked question will be a good one. And you can develop the solution until you reach that point, for example. And but you also need to bear in mind that maybe setting this goal for 100% is not always the best case, because even the evaluator, this is a black box. This is also a probabilistic way of scoring that. So it can also be wrong. So you need to be, bear in mind that as well.
What tools do you use to monitor AI engines?
My personal choice is Langsmith. It provides really handy visibility of what's going on under the hood. And thanks to that, if you have like multi-agents type of architecture, or you have some prompt chaining, you're able to dive deep into the structure and see what is the input and output of each of the nodes. So that's really, really helpful.
Another really important topic: how do you gather user feedback and feed it back to the agent to improve future responses?
Yeah, so I use Langsmith for this one to score and be able to browse through the for this feedback. I created once the custom solution for rating and giving additional comments that is out of the scope of the context of the conversation with the bot. But this is really, really helpful for us as creators. And with that, you can easily track how the bot is doing. So you can filter by like low scores, and then have a look at the bot replies from the bot. Maybe something's missing. Maybe you need some additional context, some additional data to provide to the model. And this is how you can improve the bot. Also, you can pick the great examples and include to your golden data set of questions, and then run LLM as a judge on some various tests. And this is how you can easily, for example, test a new model, because maybe this week we have new model. Let's test it out in our solution. So this is the way you can make it more robust and automatic. And what's really, really cool, I've done it in one project, is something like reinforcement learning based on human feedback. So you take the best replies, or you fix the wrong ones, and add it to the data set of question and answers, and you create some kind of FAQ for the bot. So every time user asks about some question that is really similar to the one that was already answered, and we know that this is a great answer, then we can provide it into the context and say, this is a set of questions that were already answers, and they were marked by the users with a 5-star. So most likely you should reply in this way for this type of question.
Agents orchestration is becoming a hot topic. When does it make sense to run a swarm or cooperating agents instead of single agent?
This is a tough question because it depends. overall, LLMs are great at processing text, but they are great at doing one single job at a time. So if you have, for example, a chatbot, and you will attach some tools to it, you will have some logic, you will have some guardrails, you will have some formatting rules for the users to produce the output. It's not a one task. So I tested it out, and it seems that it's better to have smaller prompts, for example, designated to score whether we should continue conversation or not, because user is trying to like some prompt injection techniques. Or let's make a separate prompt only for formatting. And this LLM call will take the previous response of the previous LLM requests as an input and produce an output. And the same applies to the agents concept. So it's better to have highly specialized agents in the swarm than have one big agent that is able to do everything, because it won't be able to do everything, or the accuracy will be pretty bad, and the ability to fix it is more complex. So you are able to reach accuracy of the correct answers with this small designated system prompts much faster, much easier. But from other hand, this is still a probabilistic game. So imagine you have one big prompt to solve everything, and you will reach 90% of accuracy when it comes to your golden data set of questions. And then you have like a chain of prompts, and every node has accuracy 99%. So the end result is not 99% of accuracy, because those factors are multiplied. So you need to bear in mind. So do not over-engineer it, but sometimes it's really, really good to separate some designate task for each of the call or the bot.
So how do you deal with prompt injection?
And you can't ensure the fact that your system won't be vulnerable for prompt injection. You need to accept that always there will be some users that are able to fool your bot with the text. So what's your chore is to ensure that the data that will be attached to the context is safe. So you need to programmatically ensure the authorization, authentication. This is your job. You need to do this in code. You need to test it, and you can't explain in a system prompt that for this group of users, you have access to this data, but you never ever can show them this data. This can be fooled quite easily. Nowadays models are more and more they are better in preventing prompt injection techniques, but no one will give you the 100% 100% this sure that this
Insurance.
yeah, exactly.
Do you use RAG?
Yes, in some solution, yes, but not always. Sometimes it's not. You don't need that. So if you don't need that, why should you add so much complexity? Overall, I would advise to use RAG to solutions where you have so big knowledge base that won't fit into the context, or it's overall like a big chunks of informations that need to be selected for particular questions. You have other techniques than RAG. You can use specialized agents that will have some domain knowledge, but RAG, I think it's quite common approach. But with RAG, I would advise not just to follow like 15 minutes tutorial on YouTube how to create a simple RAG where you just split the text, just vectorize it, put it into database, and use vector search to include this into the context. That probably won't bring you that much accuracy or spectacular effects. I would advise when you introduce RAG, then you need to think about the solution. Then you really need to architecture how are you going to chunk those files? How are you going to process these chunks before you will vectorize it? What search techniques you will use? Maybe a vector search, similarity search is not enough. Maybe it's good to bring like full text search or any other types of. And you need to play with it, experiment with it, and treat it as a separate component that can be tested on its own.
Is MCP only a hype or is something to adapt in your AI project?
Well, I think this is something to monitor, and I would encourage everyone to build something with MCP because it gives you some kind of standard. Uh, I can say that this is like REST for web services, but here we have the AI tools. So this is a nice protocol that most of the state of the art large language models follows. And thanks to that, you're able to create one tool. It can be API call, like wherever, and you can easily switch the models, and you don't need to recreate the solution all over again.
What key architectural lesson learned would you share with others?
Well, there is plenty of them. I will repeat myself, but at the initial stage of the project, keep things simple, keep it clean. And once you have some special requires to perform some actions in your code, implement some features, look for off-shelf solutions. Start with one prompt. Then if you see some tasks that can be designated, then split it into separate LLM calls or agents. Provide yourself with observability. I really encourage to use tools like Langsmith, Langfuse. It gives you much more control what's going on under the hood. Iterate fast. Create your first version of the solution and give it to the user and see how they are going to play with it. What's more? Yeah, LLM as a judge. Sooner or later, it will pay off. So introduce that one, and I think good prompt engineering techniques is also a must-have. When you start the project, your prompt is usually quite small, but once you add the features, add some examples, add some use cases that might be tricky for the bot, it really, really grows. And then every change you made, you need to read once again the prompt and find the right place to change the text. It's better to have that structured from the start, from the very beginning, to highlight what's the main task of the bot, what tools does he have, what examples does we have to use, and so on. So that's really, really useful.
Amazing. Marcin, thank you. Thank you so much for today's discussion. It was a pleasure to have you here. I love to work with people with passion like you, and it was just amazing discussion. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. It was great to be here, and I'm really glad that I can share my experiences with AI bots.
Amazing. So for our listeners, please subscribe the channel, smash the button, ring the bell, and see you in the next podcast. Bye.
Bye.